Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Goldenmate Orion 1000 100 amp hour 12.8 volt battery. I reviewed the Goldenmate, standard Goldenmate 200 amp hour battery a few months ago and it did absolutely great. It is a budget battery. It was very competitively priced. This one, on the other hand, is not your budget friendly battery. This is a more upscale, a Rolls Royce, I guess, if you want to think of it that way, of a lithium iron phosphate battery. So hopefully you can tell. I'll get in a closer angle of this, but this is probably the nicest, most unique looking battery that I've reviewed or even had here in the shop on the channel. And it's just a sweet looking battery. It's kind of got like an army green case. It's got a couple of grab handles up top. The kicker is it's got a huge LED screen right on top that's going to showcase the state of charge, the amount of input watts and output watts going in and out of this battery. It's just a good looking battery. Now I'm not going to break it down, but I will leave down in the video description below a fella on YouTube that actually did tear this apart, and it's built very, very well. Okay, it's got Bluetooth connection, it's got high and low temp protection built into it, and it appears to be very, very solid and very well made. But let's come in a little bit closer, and I want to show you folks the screen and get this thing topped off and do a couple of tests on it. But so far, first impressions are this is a pretty slick looking battery. You can kind of see the screen that's on top, but on the front of this battery, and I don't have a second battery to test this, but it's got two ports, and these are communication ports that you just pop out this rubber grommet, and if you have additional batteries, you can use these communication cables that it came with, so the BMSs actually talk to each other. I don't have a second battery, so I'm not even going to test these out, but that's what these two plugs are for. You also have, this is very easy to break down and take apart if you want to, because these little rubber caps just simply come right off. Well, I say that, let me get my little pliers out and show you. So these little caps just come right off, and you can get to the screws to take this case off. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws up top to remove it, to actually get to the guts of this thing. It's got a little touch sensitive button here. It's not really a tactile button, but you're just going to put your finger over it and that screen cuts on. Try to get the glare off of this thing, but it is a very, very bright, really, really nice looking display. Now, obviously it's not going to showcase us anything right now because we're not inputting or outputting any watts. There we go, cut it right back on. So obviously you can see the battery came shipped to me at 87%. So let's get this thing topped up. Now I've only got a little 20 amp charger, so it shouldn't take too long to get this thing up to 100%. But you should be able to see the input watts now. Yep, so now we're inputting 280 watts into this battery. So I'm going to get this thing up to 100%. We're going to do a capacity test on it, and then we're going to do a discharge test because this battery claims to have 120 amp BMS continuous discharge rating. So we're going to give that a shot. We're going to stick this thing in the freezer to make sure that the low temp disconnect feature does work, and then I'll show you guys the app. Okay, so here is what the app looks like once you connect it to the battery. So it's pretty bare bones, but it's going to give you all the basic information. So you got your current voltage, which is sitting around 13.8 volts. You've got the amount of amps going into the battery being charged, which is around 20. You've got 270 watts, which correlates to those amps being input into the battery. And then this time to full, which is showing 0.5, that's basically telling you that you got half an hour until this battery is 100% fully charged. So kind of bare bones, but it's going to give you all the main pertinent information that you're going to want when you're not near this battery and can't see that LCD screen. All right, ladies and gents, we have got a 100% fully charged battery. I've got my little DC capacity tester hooked up. I got it set to discharge 12 amps, so hopefully that'll be good enough. This thing only goes up to around 12.5 amps, so we're going to get it started there. You can see here we're starting from 0. So let's see what this battery gives us in terms of usable capacity, given that it is a 100 amp hour battery. All right, well, this battery is completely depleted. You can see here on the screen we are at 0%. And my capacity meter is showing that we were able to get out of that battery 105 amp hours, that light blue number at the bottom. So we got 5 more amp hours than the rated 100, so that's great. Now I'm going to get this thing topped back up to 100% and we're going to do a discharge test on it. 100%. I'm going to put this clamp meter up here so hopefully we can get a readout. But I'm going to turn this heat gun on just at low setting because I want you guys to see what the app shows because it's pretty cool. It gives you a runtime to empty and the amount of watts coming out. So it's actually pretty helpful. So let me get this inverter cut on. Okay, and there's just a measly little 50-ish amps. So I'm going to go into the Bluetooth app and this is pretty cool. Let me put this down. So you can see here, obviously, that I am outputting 48.4 amps, 600 and it's going back and forth. Let's say 500 watts. And this endurance time is saying 2.1 hours. So that's going to be the time until that battery is completely depleted. So this is great for like an RV scenario. You can log into your Bluetooth to figure out, you know, when your RV is going to die or when whatever you're powering with this battery, you know, when it's going to die. And you don't have to have a shunt. You don't have to have any of that stuff. Just this simple little app. But that's not the test of this. I'm going to push this heat gun up to around 120 amps. That's what this battery is rated to continuously discharge. So I'm going to kick it up to high. That's 105 amps. There we go. 120 amps. Let's get a stopwatch going. Start. So we're sitting at 3 minutes in, pretty constant 120 amps. But I kind of want to show you the screen. So that's pretty cool. It's giving you the amount of watts it's outputting and of course 92% state of charge. So I like having that watt meter there, letting me know how many watts this battery is pushing out. But now let's see how mad we can make this battery. So I've got a second heat gun plugged into the inverter over here. And we're just gonna see when this battery, when the BMS shuts it off. So we're still pulling 120 amps. 180 right there. 185 amps. And I'm getting close to the peak of my actual inverter here before the inverter trips everything off. 190, 200 amps. 201 amps. There we go. And to be honest, I'm not exactly certain. That's weird. 200 amps. Okay, I'm gonna cut this off. I think it's my inverter that was overloaded, but this little battery was pushing 200 amps for more than 5 or 10 seconds, but it ran 190 amps and we're up to 6 minutes before I'm gonna stop this timer. So that's pretty good performance coming out of a, again, 100 amp hour battery. So the next test is my wife's favorite. I'm gonna get all this unplugged, chunk this in the freezer overnight, and then we're gonna come back in the morning and see if this will accept a charge because this is supposed to have low temp charge protection. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this battery has been marinating in the freezer overnight. Just to show you, 10 degrees, just on the lugs. I'm wondering, first I want to see if this even cuts on. Okay, well that screen does cut on. A lot of condensation on it. You can tell it's frozen. So I do want to see before I charge this thing up or try to charge this thing up if the app works when this thing is frozen. And it looks like, yep, I'm connecting. Okay, and this does have the temperature readout on the internals. So if I can get this in focus and not in glare, down here in the bottom of the app, it's showing negative 17 degrees, negative 16 degrees, all in Celsius. But you can change to Fahrenheit too, I just saw that. Wow, so 1.4 degrees, 3.2 degrees. So this battery is frozen. Now, let's see if it will accept a charge. Okay, it turned red right now. Yep, and we are back to green. Fantastic. So it is not charging, and I've got a little temperature warning icon on the screen. Let me get the camera and show that to you. So if you can get this cleared away, that little temperature warning right there is showing that I'm assuming that this battery is in protection state with it being so cold. It does kind of have a weird, the screen does kind of look a little funky down here. I don't know if that's just due to it, you know, being frozen, but it's definitely not charging. Well, folks, there is the Goldenmate Orion 1000. It is obviously a very good looking battery, very unique battery. It's got a lot of features. You know, it's got Bluetooth, it's got low temp charge protection, it's got the giant LCD screen up top, it's got the app that goes with it, and it just looks cool. So who is this for? Honestly, I don't know, because it is not a budget battery. This thing clocks in at around 450 bucks. Now, I guess if you're someone that's going to, I don't want to say display these batteries, but if you have a rack of batteries and you really care about what your system looks like, this is a pretty good option. I don't know if that's something that you know, people want to spend their money on just for looks, but it is a very well built battery as well. Now, again, I'm going to put a link down below in the description from another YouTube guide that actually took this thing apart and confirmed all of the internals of this thing are built top notch, very heavy duty, good components, overall built very well. So I want to give him credit, because he did a very good job of actually dismantling this battery, which I'm not going to do on this video. But you know, 450 bucks. You can get another 100 amp hour Lifepo4 battery now for around 200 bucks. But most of those will not have, you know, the Bluetooth and the low temp charging protection, and they're all in the same case, so they're coming off the same production line somewhere over in China. This one is obviously by far and away the most different battery that I've had on the channel, and it did great. Is it worth 450 bucks? That's up to you. I'm just here to kind of show you this battery and what the options are out there. So with that, folks, this is, again, the Goldenmate Orion 1000. I'll leave a link for this battery in the video below, as well as the teardown video that I promised you about. So, folks, until next time, thanks for watching and take care.